You're listening to the Real Estate Runway podcast, powered by Quattro Capital, where we are all about alternative business and investment strategies to help you amplify life and maximize wealth. Here's your host, the recovering engineer turned multifamily investor, Chad Sutton.
All right, Real Estate Runway family. Today we have a futuristic episode. We're going to talk with Franco Perez of Franco Mobile Homes. And, this guy's doing something incredible. He's really a one-stop shop for mobile homes for people trying to get out of renting and into ownership. Now, what I'm going to blow your mind, and make sure you listen till the end, because there's actually a link in the show notes you should check out of a 3D virtual tour that Franco has provided for us. He's actually building some, like the average square foot of a mobile home is like 700 for those ones built back in the 70s. He's using modular companies to build 1,600 square foot mobile homes, 3-bed, 2-baths, and they are beautiful. Like I would live in this thing in a heartbeat. And I had no idea it was a mobile home when you showed it to me. So pretty fun to check that out. I love the mission this guy has. So let's get in here and talk about it, see how his mindset can help you. And maybe you know some people who he can help with this business. So that being said, if you get any value out of the show, folks, pay it forward. Leave a review, leave a thoughtful comment. That is the only way we get some more people like you. So that's all I ask. 10 seconds, leave a review, pay it forward. If you like this content, help someone else find it. All right. And look, if you want to be on the show, I'd love to have you. Apply at thequattroway.com/podcast. And if you want to apply to work with Quattro Capital from the investment perspective, visit us at thequattroway.com/invest. And folks, we're on all the socials at Team Quattro Capital, one word, no special characters. This show is on YouTube, TikTok at Real Estate Runway Podcast, or anywhere podcasts are listened to. So share it, refer it. Love to see new listeners here all the time. Folks, let's get right into the show. I'm excited for this one. Here we go. All right. Real Estate Runway family, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Sutton. We are powered by Quattro Capital on this episode here behind me on the wall. And today I've got a very special guest for you. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of home construction and mobile homes, and they're not what you think. So Franco Perez of Franco Mobile Homes, founder and CEO of this phenomenal company. Franco, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Chad. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just had the benefit of actually going through a 3D walkthrough of one of your products. And so I'm going to encourage at the end of this, maybe we'll put that in the show notes for your clicking pleasure, because it is just phenomenal what this guy's building. But Franco, before we get into you, your company, actually, before we get into what you're doing, I want to hear about you and your company. So tell us what life journey has gotten you to the point today where you decided, I really want to help the middle class start to build wealth with this product, and I'm going to re-engineer how these things are being built. So let's start with you and go from there.
Oh, sure. A bit about me is I came here from the Philippines at a young age and grew up in San Jose area, in the Bay Area, basically the Silicon Valley. At about 17, 18 years old, there was an unfortunate family situation. My parents split. My dad was the main breadwinner. And then I was left with my single mom and my younger sister. And at around 17, 18, I dropped out of school, went to work full time just to help my mom be able to afford paying rent at the end of every single month. And I remember it really being like the hardest part of my life. I remember working so hard, and just even with both of us working, we had to borrow money just to cover rent, just to make ends meet. And it was so difficult. I was like, why is it that we're good people and it's this difficult for us to just survive in an area like this? From there, I became a real estate agent, did that for a short amount of time. And I ended up hating the whole real estate agent world because it got me to be incentivized to help the richest people I could get the most expensive homes that they can, and just helping the wealthy get wealthier. And unfortunately, I had to turn away these people and tell them, hey, you don't make enough. You don't have enough as a down payment. And it hurt me so much to have to turn these people away, knowing that they were in the shoes that I was in when I was young. And I really seeked out to try to find a way, how can we help these people that aren't given the equal opportunity that they deserve? How do we build something that will just make their lives even just a little bit easier? So I looked into working for the government and affordable housing, really just like that too, because there weren't really great solutions. And then I accidentally came across mobile homes and mobile home parks. Come to find out, there's so many mobile home parks across the country, just hidden without people knowing about it. We have parks right across the street from Google, from Samsung campuses, and in very high density cities. And because they were built in the 70s, they were ignored and not optimized for the area that it's in. So started out helping people get out of that rental rat race and into their first piece of ownership through mobile homes, found that it was really successful. It allowed for people to build wealth and start building wealth through that. And then after that, we got into taking these old mobile homes and replacing them with something way bigger and more beautiful, like a 1,600 square foot home that you were talking about, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And it ends up being a perfect stepping stone to get people out of that rental cycle into home ownership. And since then, we've just been doing that, growing that to other cities and hoping to do that more often. So to help more families.
That is fantastic, Franco. And here at Quattro, we have this saying called it's doing good while doing well. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. You can do good in the world and help others and give a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up, while also doing well yourself in the business world. So that's a fantastic model you're talking about. And I love it because it's really people first, right? You're not trying to screw anybody to make money. You're trying to help people get what they deserve.
Oh, absolutely. And it gives me goosebumps that you said that, because the truth is, when I was a real estate agent, the easy route is to really just to help keep doing that. But I think we forget sometimes it's not as fulfilling to do. And it doesn't feel right in your heart sometimes. And for me, I don't know what it was, but I could care less about the money at that time. But knowing I could help one single family, that meant everything to me.
So before we get into what you've built with this company, the purpose here, let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you see in the construction environment today, because I think the solution that you've put forth here and that your company is working on has that in mind. So let's talk a little bit about construction as you see it right now and some of the barriers to entry of putting new product out there and trying to make it more affordable.
Yeah. So barrier to entry in the construction, there's two major components to this. One is we really want to help the middle class and that sort of thing. And the financial element, unfortunately, where the world is going today, there is this, whether we like it or not, there's this huge barrier to entry to getting into home ownership. So we have teachers, we have construction workers, and we have people, if you don't already inherit real estate, it's very difficult to go from a rental situation into home ownership because the gap in between is very wide and very far. And a lot of Americans are feeling like it's almost impossible to own nowadays. And it's because of cost difference. And unfortunately, with the world and the issues of the construction, it's getting further and further. So if we talk about the second element to that is the construction element, our world today is most of our construction workers are 40 and above, and they're looking to retire soon. And we aren't getting enough younger generation people that want to get into the construction scene. It's with all the other job opportunities, they'd rather take that. Material costs are getting more expensive. The cost of construction overall is getting more and more expensive. And with that happening, we see the chain effect that's going to be happening of how much more expensive housing is actually going to be. We need to fix this solution at a very rapid rate. And if we look at it as a perfect analogy, cars back in the day were only built for the rich and the wealthy to be able to afford. It was only until it was built in an assembly line that they were able to build it at scale and keep the cars affordable so that everybody can attain a car and everyone can own a car. And it's just it's very much the same thing of what we're trying to do here is we're now taking that issue of building construction in real estate and we're building them in a factory on an assembly line. If you see on our YouTube channel, we love showcasing how this is done. But we're able to drop the cost down. We're able to use less material, less labor, and able to be so much better for the environment. And in the end, you have a much more affordable house that is something that somebody can own later down the line. And it's such a big must for us because if we don't change anything, then the middle class and anyone, the hardworking class, are not going to ever be able to afford real estate. We've seen this happen in other countries where there's just the rich and then the rest, right? And unfortunately, if this continues, it's going to become like that soon. But that's the scope of construction in real estate today.
Yeah, it's not too dissimilar. Our company, we primarily own rental real estate, and our mantra, doing good while doing well. It's you have two buckets of rental real estate, right? One, which is newly developed rental real estate. You have tax credit properties where you can build a good little product. The only way you can afford to keep the rents affordable is you sell a massive tax credit to places like banks or investors, whoever are qualified to take it. And that's how you're able to keep rents low. Otherwise, anything built new is cream of the crop, top notch product, because that's what they have to rent it for to make ends meet. And so in the middle there is all the old product that people like me are trying to keep alive and fill that gap in the middle. What you're talking about, and I love the analogy you just broke into, is look, mass production is what makes things affordable. Think about it. Like, you have the law of diminishing return on expenses. If you took all the R&D and all the technology and all that, and you built one iPhone, that iPhone would cost $100 million or something crazy, right? It'd be ridiculous. But when you go say, okay, let me go build 5 billion of them or whatever. I don't know how many iPhones they've sold. It's a huge amount. And I may be off on scale, but the point is when you go divide that cost amongst a whole bunch of them, you get something that everyone can afford, right? And maybe an iPhone's a bad example because that's still a premium product, but it's the same idea. So I love what you're doing here. And now let's take it over to how you're solving the problem with Franco Mobile Homes. So what are you guys doing? What is your value proposition? How are y'all getting this product to those who really need and deserve it?
Yeah. And I think the most important thing to answer that is our goal is really the financial literacy element of it. A lot of us, at least for me growing up, we weren't taught a lot of this wealth building or net worth and that sort of thing. When I grew up, you only imagine money goes one way. And when you spend money, it's gone. And that's the way we look at it. But now I meet these wealthy people. They don't see it that way. They see you can spend on something, but that's an asset that you own. That's part of your net worth that will come back to you when you sell it later down the line. And we have to, as a community, educate more people so that they understand that the big difference between renting and owning. And there's so many benefits of owning that aren't taught in schools. And that's what we try to teach on our YouTube channel. The other element to that is the attainability of these homes. The first is in our area. Now, these numbers are going to be so drastic to most of the country, but the ratios are the same. In San Jose, an average rent for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment is about $3,000 a month. A single family home is about $1.6 million. That's where that big gap is. And how do you ever dream of ever owning a $1.6 million home when you're continuously putting all your money to rent? It's such a big feat. And for us, we've found that this model becomes a perfect stepping stone for people because these mobile homes, in these mobile home parks, you don't own the land, which a lot of people feel it's a flaw, but it's actually a pro because the cost of entry is much lower. So a mobile home on average on our end would be about $330,000, where instead of coming up with $200K for a down payment for a single family home on this, all you have to come up with is about $35,000. And then your payment, your mortgage would be about $2,500. And then your space rent would be about $1,100. So you're instead of jumping from a $3,000 a month payment to an $8,000 payment for single family, you have something more accessible that's about $3,700 a month as a payment. And you're still getting a lot of the perks of home ownership. These homes are appreciating. You get tax benefits. You also get the power to leverage a loan to be able to build your net worth of something that you own. And this is really entry-level ownership that people don't know about that people don't know is accessible. And we've seen it happen so many times over and over with these teachers, with these hardworking people to be able to get into this. And because they've lived in it for 5 years, now they have access to capital that they can put as a down payment for purchasing into real estate later down the line. But for us, it's all about educating and helping people understand what are the differences. What's the next step for me? Because if the step is too big of a step, they get frustrated. They can never make a motion. So that's the big thing for us.
You mentioned the numbers might be staggering based on where you live in the country versus where you're listening from, folks, but think about the ratios. So to go through that for a second, what I think I heard was instead of going after this type of product, instead of trying to jump from a mortgage payment that's probably 2 to 2.5x your rent payment, which is super unattainable for most people on an income basis. But not only that, if we keep the ratios the same, you're probably having to come up with about 2 to 3 years of rent payments in terms of a down payment to buy a $1.6 million home. Whereas what I think I heard was if, the lot rent plus the mortgage, you're maybe a little higher than your current rent anyway. And if you're only having to come up with 35,000 ish, you're basically coming up with 1 year's worth of rent. So it's like, it's a lot more digestible and you can just, I think it helps people get up the step, like you said, Did I get that right?
And a lot of people think that the down payment is an expense too. And I think that's the misconception as well is, yes, you're putting that 35K, but it's into something that you own that you're going to get back when you sell later. And that's how the wealthy think. And that's how we have to teach. That's what I wish I knew when I was younger too. Right. So yes, it is an expense to have to come up with, but it's still yours. And that's what we love to teach.
This episode is brought to you by Agora's investment management solution. Are you a GP or syndicator still using spreadsheets or an outdated investment management platform? Advance to Agora, the next step in investment management evolution. Agora's customers raise capital 40% faster and reduce operational expenses by 25%. With Agora, you can collect commitments faster, raise more capital by creating beautifully designed data rooms, public brochures, and automated subscription flows. Manage all your investor relationships efficiently with the most advanced investor CRM on the market. Delight your investors with a beautifully designed investor portal, which is fully customized to fit your brand and integrates seamlessly into your website. Distribute payments in a click directly from the platform and automatically generate and send all the reports and statements your investors need. Agora is suited for all types and all sizes of GPs or syndicators, starting with an affordable $5.99 a month subscription plan. Click the link in the description to book a live demo and learn what Agora can do for your business. Agora, better investment management.
So Franco, let's talk a little bit about, let's say I am a renter in the San Jose region, and your company has engaged me or I've approached your company, one of the two. What is my process? Like, do I say, hey, I want a home, you qualify me, and then you go find me a lot and build it? Or do you already have a neighborhood of these or like a new age mobile home park of these built somewhere and y'all can go see it like realtor style and buy it? Like, how does it work? How do you get into these?
Yeah, I guess it's pretty much simply that. I mean, our business really tries to do anything and everything around mobile homes. So we do help people like in that situation that you mentioned. But yes, basically they'll come to us, we'll analyze and pre-qualify and see what their financials are. And then we'll give them guidance if they can't afford one now, then how do we get you to be able to be in the position to afford later? We really do a lot of financial planning in the beginning and help make sure that it's something that a payment they're going to be comfortable with, a down payment they're going to be comfortable with, and walk them through that. So I know we talk a lot about the new homes that I build and that sort of thing, and that's really nice and that's good too. But for a lot of people, they can't afford that, and buying an old unit is part of their process and part of the steps that they'll have to take. So we want to customize our guidance correct to what your financials are to make sure you're comfortable. You're not going to be put in an over leveraged situation with a loan, and it's not a payment that you're going to be stressed about either. Right. So we really customize that guidance based on your personal finances, but it's understanding the different tiers and how do we get you further along those tiers at a comfortable rate, right? Because it's not just, Chad, you got to go from renting to one day buying a single family home or one day buying a very nice, beautiful luxury mobile home. But we have to analyze that first and then get you up to those process, right? But that's one. The other is we help a lot of people that live in these old mobile homes and want to replace their old one. Because the thing about these mobile homes and these mobile home parks, because they were built in the 70s, how they lived back then, it was in a high density area. They have a huge yard, that sort of thing. But what we'll often see is a 700 square foot single wide mobile home. We're like, hey, Chad, your home is on a lot that can actually fit a 1,600 square foot home. Instead of one bedroom, one bath, you can put $250K into replacing this old one for a new one. And your new future sale value is about $400,000. And this makes a ton of sense for you. If it's something you can afford and get a loan for, why wouldn't you do that? Because you're going to be able to be profitable later down the line, right? Might as well up your lifestyle and do that. And that's what we're doing. So we're helping people that own old ones that can upgrade it to a newer one for a growing family and that sort of thing too.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. You guys really are all things mobile home, everything from, hey, let's let's get you financially ready to think about buying even a 70s home to, hey, we could probably bulldoze this one or haul it off and put a new one in place. And so it sounds like, I guess the last question I have for you, are you guys handling the financing and all that kind of stuff? Or are you capitalized to build it yourself and then sell it to them? Like, how does that whole production side of things work?
Yeah. So we handle it all. So all the way from start to finish, you come to us, we do a feasibility study of what it would cost to do so, what your future value of the home would be. And then we also walk you through the financing model, right? Which banks we can get financing from on this product. We do all the communication end to end. We're still working to improve this process, but pretty much end to end from talking to us to getting the keys to the new home. We walk you through the whole process. But it's up to me and our team to build that to be a streamlined process and to always consistently improve. And part of that is the education element too, right? Because another thing to consider is we face a lot of bad stigmas in our space. When people think mobile homes, they think M&M, they think Breaking Bad, they think these communities aren't great places. But the lifestyle of these communities, it's like apartment buildings. There's apartments that you wouldn't want your kids playing around, but there's also luxury apartments. But I think most of us feel that all mobile homes and all mobile home parks are of bad quality, where it's actually far from that. We have very nice mobile home parks that look like a resort. We have very beautiful mobile homes like you were talking about in that tour that you saw. And we can't just write it off as a non-option. If people knew that this was an option and that this could help them get ahead, then that's really what we're trying to promote and show people that it's a solution out there that they should consider.
I love that, Franco. And folks, we're about to get to the Quattro questions here, but before I do, I want to give a little bit of a handout here. So Franco, describe for me the one or two or however many avatars. If someone who's listening to this podcast is, wow, this could really be good for someone that I know, describe that person so that maybe it'll click in their head and they'll say, oh, I need to tell so-and-so about this company because it could be really good for their financial wealth and well-being and acumen. What do you think?
Yeah. So basically, a perfect example is a teacher client of mine. And he was telling me a lot about how teachers they're not the best paid, but they're so important to society. And unfortunately, these teachers keep getting pushed out of our areas. I love helping these teachers because they're so meaningful to society, but they're underserved as far as options go. For him, for example, because he was able to own a mobile home, he was so grateful because one, he was able to have a payment that he felt more financially secure, and he was able to own something that he could be proud of and grow his family as well. And there's so many of those people out there that don't feel financially secure. They don't know if the rent's going to go up, if they're going to end their lease, if they have to find a new place. And this is that sense of security for a lot of these people. That's a perfect use case, I'd say. And we also have people coming from retirement that want to downsize too. And you'll be surprised at the variety of people that we have in these communities. We have people making $500K that have a ton of money in their account. And this is something that they enjoy. They want something low maintenance and they have alternative investments. And then we have a lot of working class people in these communities too. But it really is a solution for anyone just to know. And especially when you're in an area of high rent cost.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so folks, scroll down to the show notes wherever you're watching this. I'm going to include a couple of things. One, and we'll get to his contact info in a minute, but it's all going to be right there. Franco Mobile Homes website. And I think if he's okay with it, I'll also include that little 3D tour that I got to take of one of the new builds. It's fantastic. You guys should, if you do nothing else, click on that. And that is going to cement Franco Mobile Homes in your mind forever. So let's get over to the Quattro questions, Franco. First one, what is your superpower, life or business, and how does it serve you?
I think for me that's a tough question. When I was growing up as a kid, I always wanted to be a videographer. I've always loved video. That was always my passion to do. And I think doing video has always been my superpower. And it's helped us a lot because people, like on podcasts, when me and you are talking, it's hard for people to believe that these homes actually look the way they look, right? And through video, that's really what's helped us be able to help put it in people's consideration. And I love sharing videos, and I love supporting small businesses just for fun and making videos for them. But I think video is my superpower, if you were to ask me.
If a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 10. So 10,000, that is. I love it, brother. Let's flip the coin, Franco. What is your biggest failure, life or business, and what'd you learn from it?
I think for me, we had one big failure on our third project ever. We were very over leveraged. We had our money in this one project. It was a prototype home that we were building, and it got in this huge accident. After 8 months of building it, got in this huge accident on the freeway being transported. We have investors' money in this, we have this and that. And it was a hard time for me because we put all our eggs in there. But one thing I learned from it is the way I am, if I know that I'm going to do whatever it takes to pay back anyone that's ever involved in anything that they put trust in me. And I was able to keep my mind straight. I was able to stay focused as much as I could have given up. But knowing that I was passionate about this and knowing that how important this is to society, that made me push forward and really get money back to everyone that deserved it and continue moving forward, even though I was thinking of giving up at that time. So that was about 4 years ago, actually.
Yeah, there's two kinds of people. Those who are like, okay, so what? Now what? And those who run and hide under the desk. So it sounds like you're more of a, okay, that happened. What do we do about it? I love that, brother. I love it. Question number 3. So I know you mentioned you don't really sell anything. I think unless you have something else you want to discuss here as far as the free material, I'm going to include your cool little 3D virtual walkthrough of one of these homes, but anything else you'd like to add there as far as content for the listeners? Though you mentioned a YouTube channel. Yeah.
So I think our big agenda is to just spread awareness, whether it's through us or whomever. We just want people to know that this is a great option out there. And through our YouTube channel, we do a lot of educational content. We do a lot of how-to. We get you inside of these factories that are building these homes. I just love educating the masses. And if you can see something in our factories of how these are being built and someone else can duplicate and help that become better for another state or that sort of thing, that's what I get excited about. So if you see our YouTube channel, that's a big one. You just search us Franco Mobile Homes, or all of our links are at www.franco.tv, and you can see all of our stuff there.
Yeah, fantastic. And folks, that'll be in the show notes, just like we always do. Last question, Franco, really 2 more. Almost last one. Your business is almost a philanthropic venture in itself with what you're doing and your mission. One of Quattro's 4 pillars, people, property, profit, and philanthropy, coming back and taking care of people, is philanthropy. And so I love to give our guests a chance to just mention your philanthropic heart, and you'd be surprised. A lot of times people actually contribute via this show to said causes. What would that be for you? And it's totally okay to say, man, my business is my philanthropy. It is.
I think, what's interesting with that is I love helping people that were in my shoes when I was growing up. And that's something I'm so passionate about because I know the pain that I've gone through. I've always thought about wanting to start my own nonprofit that would help teachers be able to stay in these high dense areas. That's something that I'm passionate about. But I did want to touch on, I think, like you said, like business can be philanthropy. And I think with that, like the media, a lot of us are chasing, I want to start a business so I can make X amount a month and that sort of thing. But really for me, that wasn't me. And I think people should also consider, hey, I want to start a business so I can create some sort of positive impact for the world. And I think if you look at it that way, and if you find your passion and you find something that you can create an impact on, you can really be more driven every single day. I wake up every morning because I get excited about what we do. I still tear up today when there's one family that's got their first piece of home ownership when they never thought it could be done. And to me, that's the best compensation, not the dollar amount, knowing that a family's going to be able to thrive from now on and have opportunity from now on. That's what drives me. And I think if I could spread some sort of philanthropy, it's to chase that over the dollars and cents. And I think that's so much more important. There's so many people out there that have so much potential, and money doesn't really drive me. But I think there's a lot of people out there that could resonate with me. So hopefully that answered it.
Yeah, dude, that's incredible. And last question, how do our listeners find you? It sounds like you got a few websites out there, but what's the best way to get in touch with you and talk about this stuff or refer a client or whatever they need to do?
It's really those links that I mentioned, the www.franco.tv, all our channels, our content, our contact info is all there. You can always reach out to us on any of those socials and someone will reach out to you. And we're always happy to just bring education and give answers, advice, however we can, whether it's through us or whomever. So we're happy to do that.
Awesome, dude. Franco, thank you for giving us your time. This is an incredible mission, company, strategy, replacement of status quo in construction, all the things. So thank you for coming on, sharing your heart and your knowledge. And we'll have you on sometime again soon, I hope, to status what's been going on in your world.
It's been such a pleasure, Chad, and thanks for having us here.
Want to generate higher return and drive alpha for your commercial real estate firm? Now you can with Lobby CRE by 30 Capital. Lobby CRE is an asset management platform designed to manage and optimize cash flow for faster returns and more visibility into performance. Shift your strategy with the market, not because of it. Identify opportunities and mitigate risk now rather than later, and save more than 8 hours per week through automation. Click the link in the show notes to learn more and book a demo.
Well, folks, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. I love when I find businesses who are doing good while doing well. It's not mutually exclusive. You don't have to screw people to make money. You can actually help people improve their life, improve their wealth position, and do well at the same time. So check out francomobilehomes.com. He is in the show notes. I did include that 3D link down there. Please go check that out. It blew my mind at what a mobile home can actually look like. It's fantastic. Again, if you got any value out of the show, folks, please leave us that 5-star review, thoughtful comment, subscribe. It's the only way to pay it forward and share this content with somebody else. So do that, share the show. Anyone else you think might benefit from this, pay it forward. You found this for a reason. Make sure you help someone else do the same. All right. If you want to apply to be on the show, visit us at thequattroway.com/podcast. Love to have you here. I love these conversations. And folks, if you want to apply to invest with us, visit us at thequattroway.com/invest. And we'd love to have you there as well and have a conversation. This has been another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast. Until next time, over and out, folks.
We hope this episode was insightful and brought value to your day. If so, please be awesome and leave us a 5-star review. Find out how Team Quattro can help you at thequattroway.com. Until next time, this is the Real Estate Runway Podcast.